Well, at the top of the show, Rick Treptow had a story about Georgia Farm Bureau Day at the state capitol. Well, during the annual legislative luncheon in Atlanta, Georgia Farm Bureau President Zippy Duvall took the podium to clarify Farm Bureau's position on immigration, saying Georgia Farm Bureau does not endorse illegal activity of any kind. He said Farm Bureau supports efforts to control the borders of the U.S., and nothing in our policy supports illegal immigration or amnesty.
There has been confusion about our policy that says we oppose any immigration law that discriminates against farm workers and puts farmers in Georgia at a disadvantage to other states. Not all farm workers are illegal. Our policy is intended to oppose laws that might discriminate against farm workers who are legally in this country.
Georgia Farm Bureau maintains that enforcement of immigration laws and border security is a responsibility of the federal government, and reform of the law is a high priority.
The federal government has failed to live up to its responsibility, and that must change. We call on the U.S. Congress to secure the borders of the United States and sufficiently fund the effort so that illegal immigration can be controlled. At the same time, our laws should ensure that when there's not domestic workers available for the jobs in agriculture, that farmers should have access to a workable program.
Farm jobs are difficult, Mr. Duvall pointed out, often seasonal and migratory, and that makes these jobs hard to fill. He said Farm Bureau believes any immigration policy must include a more effective temporary worker program for agriculture.
The ability for the United States to grow its food is a national security issue. Our concern with Georgia immigration legislation stems from the fact that illegal immigrants might be fearful to work in Georgia if the state seems to be anti-immigrant. If immigrant labor were to avoid the state of Georgia, there would be a major economic consequences within large sectors of agriculture. We encourage the state of Georgia to assist farmers to obtain legal workers instead of threatening them with fines and imprisonment because the federal government has failed to handle its responsibility. This problem is a failure of government, not of employers.
Farm Bureau realizes that state schools, medical facilities, and government entities are being strained right now, Duvall said. And he says Georgia Farm Bureau is willing to work with our elected officials to assist in developing a program that addresses the immigration issue while minimizing negative economic consequences to Georgia's economy.
Coming up next week, we're going to address the immigration issue and also discuss the EPA with Georgia U.S. Senator Johnny Isakson.